A very pleasant evening to you out there. Thank you for joining us on another edition of the program National Talk on ECWA Television International. My name is Joyce Jakada. Tonight on National Talk, we beam our light on Plateau State politics. You will recall that the Court of Appeal last week nullified the victory of Senate Minority Leader representing Plateau North Senatorial District in the National Assembly, Senator Simon Muatkon. The three-member panel led by Justice Daudu Williams in a unanimous judgment held that the PDP did not validly nominate Muatkon. The panel held that the court orders were not fully complied with by the People's Democratic Party PDP, as 12 local government areas didn't participate in the Congress. The court also ordered a rerun for the Plateau North senatorial seat to be conducted in 90 days. The court also cited non-compliance with a subsisting court order from the Plateau State High Court made since 2020 for the PDP to conduct Congress before nomination. Another court panel led by Justice Okon Agban also nullified the victory of PDP's Musa Ave Aga, representing Just North Bassa in the House of Representatives. To discuss this development, I have Panshak Dakien Esquire, the acting legal advisor of PDP here on the Plateau. Good evening and welcome to National Talk.
Good evening.
Also, I have Leo Ebi Esquire, one of the APC lawyer here on the Plateau. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers. Thanks for having us.
Well, let's set the ball rolling. Just last week, we saw how that the panel led by Justice Daudu Williams in the unanimous judgment held that PDP did not validly nominate Muatkon. And the judgment that was passed actually generated a lot of concerns and then reactions. I would like to start with you, Panchak. You are the legal advisor, acting legal advisor of the PDP here on the Plateau, and I think you're the right man for the job to respond to this. So a lot of reactions have been generated and concerns, especially as regard the fate of other politicians under the PDP. How did you get that? How did you see that judgment? What do you make of it?
The best part about being a lawyer is that you are trained to take whatever you get from the courts, and you have to absorb it, no matter how it is. But the sweeter part of it is that you have to stand and say to yourself whether what happened is whether justice was delivered or the facts and the law were either misapplied or maybe everything was done in error. There's a big error, or there's a mistake, or there's a misgiving that is being played out. Unfortunately, we have social media urchins who have not been to the four walls of even a law diploma in law class, talk more of a law class, talk about being to law school, or even appearing before a court to know that this is what we argue. And they spew all sorts of things on social media because maybe they heard one or two lawyers discussing about one or two things, and they'll come and splush it out. I think a very good example would be that of Goodluck Jonathan, when he was saying that he said there was no stealing. You know, when they were talking about corruption, he said there was no stealing, but it was, the corruption was not stealing or something like that. I know the whole nation almost went on fire because they said, stealing is not corruption. It was because he was in a conversation where we learned minds were discussing, and they were unable to pass the proper message down to him. And that's the situation for myself. In respect of Plateau State, there's the misconception of nomination, sponsorship, qualification. Those are the key components of the thing that is brought us before whatever court we are. And the difference is that the Constitution is clear about what it means to be qualified, what it means to be nominated, and what it means to be sponsored. Then, apart from the Constitution, putting that straight, we have a plethora of cases from the Supreme Court. I won't even want to bother about the Court of Appeal, because the Court of Appeal is subservient to the Supreme Court. There are plethora of cases from the Supreme Court that will tell you that this is what it means to be qualified, this is what it means to be nominated, and this is what it means to be sponsored by a political party. That same Supreme Court, in recent times, because as the new Electoral Act was passed, as in 2022 Electoral Act was passed, you know that there will be a lot of litigation because it's a new law. In that aspect, you have decisions also coming up to the Supreme Court that will tell you, this is what we have said finally about nomination. This is what we have said finally about sponsorship, and this is what we said finally about qualification. Now, I want to apply the facts that we now have. The basic difference is that I have to lay a very good foundation in the sense that, not am I just the acting legal advisor, I'm a party man. I've been a party man, a very strong party man from 2016. I've been a PDP lawyer even during my law school days, because even with that was when I started meeting my learners in court then, because I saw what they were doing in court, and definitely I learned from them. And with the person I was working with, I had exposure to what it means to be doing political matters. Now, there are certain things that when they come up to say, when they come up to light, it naturally flows. There are certain things that you don't need to go left or you need to go right about it. Now,
so are you saying that the judgment is a mistake, or there are some errors?
Let me put it this, like right now the judgment has been made in respect of just not Basa.
Yes.
The judgment has been made in respect of ECWA, that's Mikan and Shandam. I can rightly say, I now have the right to ventilate to say whether the judgment was right or wrong. I can now say clearly that the judgment was made in error.
Okay. Well, let me come to Barrister AB. The APC, which is on the plateau as it stands right now, is the major opposition party. And before now, there have been a lot of rigmaroles from the pre-election matters, 8 months after the election, presidential and the National Assembly, as well as the March governorship and State House of Assembly. There have been a lot of challenge in the court, petition. Even after the election petition at the state level passed judgment, the APC seems not to be satisfied with it, and it kept moving. And I think it was your candidate, Chris Giwa, who challenged the sponsorship, the issue of nomination of Simon Mwatcon, and the judgment was passed just last week. How did you receive that? Because it looks like it gave hope to the APC. People were already rejoicing, even though the PDP, Simon Mwatcon, and even others that were affected are still saying there are errors, and they actually won this election. They were voted in, and they are optimistic about still getting their office. But we saw how that party supporters, the APC, more like they were already celebrating victory already. How did you receive that judgment?
Well, speaking professionally, not as a politician, because I'm not a politician. The verdict in the petition didn't come to us as a surprise. You know, why am I saying so? You know, there's a preamble to how the whole thing started. You know, election itself is a process. There are a lot of things that goes into election. When PDP had their issue, they had their internal issues that had been protracted for some time. You know, as a result of that internal issues, the members themselves took the party to court. Now, and the court was very clear as to what it wanted PDP to do. Conduct elections, congresses, constitute your ESCO, you know, in line with your party constitution. And what does the party constitution of PDP says? That election, you have to conduct congresses from the ward, from the local government to the state. You understand? Then thereafter, you can then consider ESCO. They didn't do that. You understand? As a result of the failure to do what the court asked them to do, PDP, unsurprisingly, started having the backlash as a result of the court disobedience. Now, if you can recall, in 2021, during the local government election, PDP, they were not allowed to participate, their candidates. Why were they not allowed? Because they didn't comply with the order, very specific order. Simple order, go and conduct Congress. Very as simple as that. Like my learned friend said, oh, you were the one that asked. In the Congress, they say they did. Out of 17 local government areas, 5 participated in that Congress. And even in some cases, a member of the party, besides the fact that out of 17, only 5 participated, a member of the party from Ampang West took the party to court to stop them from even conducting that same Congress. So the court restrained them from conducting the Congress. So you can now see that from within, the court restrained them from conducting the Congress. And even when they went ahead to conduct the Congress, they didn't even conduct the Congress in line with their constitution, let alone the order of the court. So on account of that disobedience, they couldn't field their candidate, like I said, in the local government election.
So, but do you see the judgment as intended with the Electoral Act?
Yes, it is. Because, it is. Because when you constitute, if they had conducted that Congress and then constituted their ECWA, they would have been in a position to sponsor a candidate for the election. Now, this judgment, all they're saying is that, look, you couldn't have sponsored because you didn't have the structure. You had what you said you sponsored was an invalid sponsorship. Because without putting in place the ECWA, how can you sponsor? Sponsorship is a constitutional issue. That's why before a party fields a candidate to run for an election, the law, this constitution says that such a candidate must not only be a member of a political party, that political party must also have sponsored the candidate.
All right, I would like...
Let me just come in now.
I would like you to
I'm happy with
that.
his responses. His responses are the ones that I actually wanted to hear. Number one, he made a response that we conducted a Congress. The questions I would like to put maybe after now is, which of the members of that Congress that participated in that Congress, or who was a beneficiary of that judgment that challenged that particular Congress? Number two, he made mention that the member from Ampang, that they went to challenge, to say that this Congress, I am a member of PDP. I'm a member of PDP that he is not. He said, he mentioned from the beginning he's a legal practitioner, so he has no business, he has no knowledge of what was happening. In that particular case he's talking about, they filed what we call a motion on notice. Not that they came to say, don't do your Congress. They filed a motion on notice. On the day we were conducting that Congress, that was the day they came to serve that motion on notice. And they came to serve to say, we have a motion on notice pending on so day. Meanwhile, we are doing the activity on that day. To make matters worse, he was saying that we were in contravention, that about 12 local governments participated. With all due respect to him, he has no idea the local governments. But
the court passed the judgment and decided
understand. Let me get to you. There's a difference between what the court will say and the difference between the real facts and the evidence. I contested that election. So it means that I will have to play the mathematics to know who are supposed to be the delegates for that election. He cross-examined me on that in court. If it's a lie, he should say so. And I told him in court that when in INEC reports, INEC wrote in their report that 12 local governments were excluded. That's what INEC report said. They say 12 ESCO. They did say, look, they said 12 ESCOs were excluded. Those 12 ESCOs are 12 members. You see, in every local government, there's the strata. You see, they're bringing that word structure. We need to break that thing down. There's what we call our organizational functions. It's not structure. The party has a organizational function that starts from, we have the ward levels, people who organize and operate the party from the wards. Before you start any congress, there's what we call the 3 ad hoc congress. The 3 ad hoc congress are independent people, 3 people that you pick at random and say, come and be part of the delegates. They are seen as important because they are like the independent eye, apart from the ESCO. Those are the first sets. Now, when you now go to the wards, that's when you now have the ward ESCO. The ward ESCO is normally 17. But the voting ESCO will be about 5. When you now come to the local governments, the local government will now have their own 17 ESCO that will vote before you now come to the state and before you get to the national. Now, when it comes to Plateau State, and in respect of our state congress, because the judgment they are making reference to is the judgment of Honorable Justice Gang, which Honorable Bitrus Kaze and 11 of them went to court to say, these people contesting for state ESCO, we are not happy with them. Because what they put before the court was that we were the ones screening them, and we're the ones to conduct the congress. Understand, we're the ones to conduct that congress, which is entirely different.
Okay, my point
now
is...
let me take you there. Now, when it came to that congress, because when we sat down, we said, okay, in the paraventure, they said all these legal squabbles will come out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 local government ESCO. Mind you, in each, for you to vote in a state congress, there's 3 ad hoc delegates from each ward. Just do the multiplication. 200, is it 204, is it 209 wards in the whole of Plateau State? Or is it 400? Do the maths. Then you will now bring the ward ESCO 17 from there. Or let's say 5. Okay, let's cut it to 5. Then let's come local government, you have 17.
So are you saying
then there
that
are
PDP actually had Congress?
We had a proper Congress.
Okay.
Anybody that says, you see, he's not a member of PDP. That's why he won't know whether we'll have a Congress or not. I am a member of PDP. I contested the election twice.
Okay, but...
So I will tell you that we had a valid Congress. Whether... Now, this is the best part. INEC came and watched that Congress. Like from the first judgment, you see, when I say there's misrepresentation of facts, when we said that the Court of Appeal misled itself, when we said the most Court of Appeal was in error of law and facts, number one, the Court of Appeal, a day before, let's start with the case that was held in the House of Assembly in Borno, the National Assembly for House of Reps in one of the constituencies in Borno. They were even in contravention of a Supreme Court order.
Okay, you are emphasizing that you actually had Congress and then you have structures and all. But the appeal court, the unanimous judgment that was passed by the 3-member panel says that you
what the appeal court was what we call judicial rascality. He knows what I'm talking about. Because I could remember when there was a time he was emphasizing on law before Honorable Justice Alagua, and he was talking law. Okay, but as at that time, he had the law before him. He had the facts before him. But what was before, even some of us felt bad because we felt that he was speaking what was right. Because in Ganishi proceeding, which is sui generis, which is the same thing what we are doing now, election matters are sui generis. As far as the law tills, it tills. Well, as at that time, we had no option. But now I was in court, and I said, okay, there's no option. This has happened. But as at now, if we don't call a spade, all of us with him will fall in the same hole. Because we are lawyers, we are practicing.
Okay, I would actually like Barrister Leo to actually respond to that, because you said earlier on that the judgment was in line with the Electoral Act. You don't think that the appeal court actually contravened that. You see that beyond this issue of structure and then the PDP going against the court order in Plateau State as cited by the 3-member panel, the APC have also been accused of desperation, because a lot of people say these people are just desperate for powers, and that is why at each step they just want to take it by all costs. People have also accused the appeal court of maybe there are some factors that are militating against them passing the right judgment, because PDP are still insisting that they actually did the right thing. I just wanted to respond to that.
First and foremost, let me start by reacting to my learned friend's description of the Court of Appeal as decision as judicial rascality. That is not correct. And it's unfortunate that my learned friend is using that word. Very strong word.
I will use it.
Very strong word. Very strong word.
Let him just respond. Get back
let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. There's what. See, there are the Supreme Court is the topmost court in this land. Let me start from the case of PDP.
But do you not think that they considered all these factors?
It is not contained in the judgment. I'll open it for you here. It is not considered in that judgment. In the case of PDP versus INEC, the case that PDP took INEC in terms of the nomination, nomination and qualification of the vice president.
Well, I just feel
in that respect,
not impugn on the character.
No. There's no impugning on character now. We are talking law. We are talking law. When we are talking of judicial rascality, is the sense that the Supreme Court has said that anything you want to do in respect of nomination and qualification, in respect of state congresses, in respect of disobedience of orders of God, even if it comes in respect of a political party, I will list to the case. There are about 5 of them. You see the case of PDP versus INEC. The case of that is the nomination of Shetima. You have the case of Oni versus Onibaje or so. That case also has, you have the name of Bacha versus Kente versus Bacha. You also have, even the most recent, even 2 days ago, the Supreme Court ruled in respect to that to say that anything, you see what we are talking about is that when we say judicial rascality, is that the Court of Appeal on the 20th day of this, that's a day before our own this thing, they ruled in respect of the Borno State House of one of the National Assembly constituencies to say that anything that has to do with orders of court, nomination, sponsorship, qualification is a pre-election matter.
Okay, Barrister
in line with the decision.
I would like you to actually
expand
on the role or the responsibility of the appeal court. Not now. Let Barrister Leo respond to that before we get to that.
My simple response is that you asked earlier, were we surprised that that judgment came? We were not surprised. Now, when you are filing a case, when you are going to court in election matters, like you rightly said, election matters are sui generis. It's a case in a class of its own. Now, the law, both the Electoral Act and the Constitution tells you what are the grounds you should, complain against election and return of a candidate on the other side. Now, the main ground that we went to the tribunal was that because they did not obey the court order, they couldn't have been in the position to sponsor a candidate. And to that extent, their candidates were not qualified to stand for the election. This is not the first time this issue has come up. The fact still remains the same. He referenced the 2 cases in 2022. Before then, the case of the judgment in which the PDP were not allowed to field candidates for the local government election. When Justice Kunda ruled that Plasek was right in not allowing PDP candidates to contest in that election, they appealed against that judgment to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal affirmed that you did not comply with the judgment of Justice Gang, that you should go and conduct Congress. Now, the day they said they would conduct the Congress, they alleged they conducted it on the 25th of September 2021. The judgment of Justice Kunda was on the 29th. The Court of Appeal dismissed that appeal and affirmed that they didn't comply with it. They didn't conduct Congress and they did not comply.
So your optimism was on the basis that the PDP did not comply with the court order.
And to that extent...
just hold on, Barrister Pancha. Just hold on. You will respond to that. Just hold on. Let him conclude, then you will respond to that. You will respond to that. Let him just conclude.
This is the best part. He has already spoken about the issue about, because whether we are talking about the judgment of Justice Kunda, whether we are talking about the Court of Appeal decision in PDP Plastic, I was a lawyer. I am a lawyer actually, and I was involved in those cases. And he was not there, so okay. I was there. Now, if you go to those judgments, what the Court of Appeal said in PDP Plastic was that we, the PDP, were the wolves of our own fold because we did not comply. Instead of complying, we went and instituted a caretaker committee. Okay. Instead of going to bring people to, instead of conducting an election immediately, right?
Conducting a Congress.
And conducting a Congress. Now, in the case of Musa Aga and that of Honorable Peter Dasat, what the Court of Appeal now said was that, look, you people, instead of conducting that, they have gone through our pleadings, that they have not seen any evidence that we have conducted this. Now, what he's talking about now, you see, there's one part he's getting to that I like, is about judicial precedence. He's talking about the order of court. He knows very well we use seniority, we use time, and we use the extant. The extant decision is what binds us.
But
Now, in that,
you kept emphasizing most of these issues, either you have played your part. Most of these issues have, we kept hearing PDP members say, oh, they are pre-election issues, that Appeal Court have no business in all of this. They are just supposed to talk about issues that revolve around the election. But this issue keep coming up. Now, and even members of the State House of Assembly were affected.
Let me take you. In PDP Plasek, and in that of Peter Dasat and that of Musa Aga, those are the three cases that came that they are holding on for strong to say that PDP has no structure. Now, there is a very slimy case that came in. It's the case of Augustine Tim Cook versus INEC. Now, in Augustine Tim Cook's case, one of our members who contested for the Langtang North state constituency for House of Assembly, he lost the primaries. He went to court. The lawyer who filed the case, his name is S.S. Obende, he works with them. He went to court to say, look, I am not satisfied that I lost my primaries. And I lost my primaries because the people who are supposed to be the delegates or who are doing this, that there's no structure on PDP. That PDP did not, let me say, PDP did not comply with the decisions of the court. He mentioned 3 decisions. Now, this is his complaint before the court, that as far as it's concerned, PDP did not comply with those orders of court.
Just hold
to
it
say,
there. Hold it
no,
there.
let me finish up because it's something that if you cut me, we won't get to the this thing. So now, when he's mentioned that, the Federal High Court sitting here told him that no, that PDP is not in contravention of those orders of court, because that was when they now look at the court held its judgment on INEC's report to say, INEC, from this report of INEC has shown that PDP has conducted its Congress. This Tim Cook now went to the Court of Appeal. His lawyer, the same S.S. Obende, ground 4 of his ground was that I have not been given fair hearing. The court said my process is defective. When I say my process is defective, it means that there's a problem from the originating process. Now, what we do is that when you raise a preliminary objection to say, like, this process has an issue, the court will say, okay, let's hear it together. If you raise it, they'll say, let's hear it together with the substantive matter. That was what was held since Dapian Long versus Michael. That is the law. They'll say, let's hear 2 of them together.
Okay, let's
so, in that process, while they were hearing the matter together, the court held that, yes, your process is defective. But the court went into the merit of the matter. Page 45 of that judgment, the court said that PDP is not in disobedience of that order of court. Okay. Now, this is what the Court of Appeal said. He went to the Court of Appeal to say that my case was not heard on the merit. On from page 22. You see where the problem is. The court held from the first page down to the page 22 to say that, yes, your process has a defect. But this is what, to be fair and to be just to that Court of Appeals judge, he said, I will reluctantly. He said, I know I have determined this matter to say that technically this matter is dead. But because I am an intermediate court, let me go into the merit because I'm not the final court. Then, on page 22 to 23 of that judgment, he now said, let me go into the merit. And when he went into the merit, on page 45 and 46, that's when he now said that this matter lacks merit. He cannot, because under the Court of Appeal Act, section 15, if you are crying that on the court below, you didn't hear my case, please, Oga, at the top, hear my case as it is. Then the Court of Appeal will now look at it and say, oh yeah, let me hear it. But the Court of Appeal will now say, no, I cannot hear your case. Okay. Because the lower court has heard it on the merit and has determined it on the merit. So I cannot go into that matter. Right. The matter is hereby struck. That is what they are depending on. Okay. And that's what they are emphasizing on.
Yes, I would like him to actually respond to that.
Yes.
And again, just to add up, there are some concerns, especially as regard how that earlier on I heard you say you're a professional lawyer, and that means you are not a politician. And so
my friend is talking like you see the emotions that is.
Okay, so I would like you to talk about address the concerns that Nigerians have. You see, on the issue of double nomination, you know that this case, there was a petition against the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, on the nomination, and the court ruled that the petitioners have no business questioning that because they are not party members and they were not involved in the primaries. And in some of these judgment verdicts that have been passed, we'll see that in some cases, it's more like it's been applied, and then in other cases it is not applied. Even on the issue of nullifying election, in some cases you see that the second highest is being given, and then in other cases you see that, oh, a rerun is. So I would like you to why do we have that at the federal level, like that of the presidential election? The Presidential Election Petition Court ruled that, oh, they just ruled out some of these petitions, but coming to the state level now, we're still seeing that the issue of structure, nomination still coming up. Maybe you just address
the courts have been consistent. You know, a case before a court gives a judgment on a case, it looks at the fact. The fact of the case is what you apply the laws to the fact of the case. In Kashim Shettima's case, the fact is not the same thing like what we have in Plateau.
Why is it not the same?
Now, in Plateau State, we challenged the election and return of PDP candidate on the ground that they were not qualified and they were not sponsored. That was not what happened in Shettima's case. In Shettima's case, you know, don't forget, Shettima had already taken, you know, he already been nominated to run as a senator before the president then wanted him to run as his running mate. He had sent in a letter, his party sent a letter, look, he's not running again as a senatorial candidate, but now as a vice presidential candidate for the president. That letter was sent from the party to INEC. PDP now wanted to contest about that nomination. That, you know, he was involved in double nomination. The Supreme Court clearly, from the Federal High Court of things, that look, that is an internal affair of the party. Double nomination. Whereas in our case, we were not complaining about nomination. We were not, sorry. Our complaint was essentially against qualification and lack of sponsorship. Because the court had already ruled that unless PDP complies, they cannot have the capacity to sponsor a candidate. I'm stressing that point so that you understand the difference. That unless they comply with this court judgment, they cannot be in a position to sponsor. You cannot, if a candidate is not sponsored by a political party, it means that candidate more or less is running as an independent candidate. Okay. Like in Dafan's judgment today.
I'm coming. Now, you see why I'm interrupting you now?
Don't interrupt him. Let him conclude.
There's a reason why.
No, he should conclude.
There's a reason why. No. If I allow him to conclude, he will reach another. Now, let me take it. You see, he's bringing issue of qualification and sponsorship. I can bet it. I can bet it to you now.
Well, Barrister Panchak.
Go to their petitions. No, let's talk about facts. Their petitions they filed. They brought issue of nomination. They brought issue of qualification. Then they brought issue of nomination and qualification. Now, qualification itself is different from nomination and qualification. Now, it's just like when you want to go and buy, let's say you want to marry a wife, a first and a second wife. You know that the criteria to marry a first wife will not be the same to marry a second wife. And you cannot remove the criteria to marry a second wife and put it under the criteria to marry a first wife. That's exactly what they did.
Okay,
the issue of qualification. See, let me tell you something. I know that there's one currency that I know I have is my integrity. And you can go and check. The thing they brought under these qualifications all boils down to nomination and sponsorship.
Would you be participating in the rerun?
We are participating because the court, the judgment of the judgment. Now, that's why you see, when we say that the Court of Appeal.
Meanwhile, our phone lines are open for you to call and add.
When we say that the Court of Appeal erred now, because those judgments that were delivered had nothing to do with just as he said that there's a particular way. We all argue that our case is this. They said their case is about as at the time we were going for that election, we were not qualified, right? We were saying that as at the time we went for the election, we were duly qualified.
Okay, so
now,
on what ground are you going to
that's what I'm taking you now.
How would you correct
that's what I'm taking you now. Error? This current 2022 Electoral Act has done away with a lot of things that we're arguing about. because the current 2022 Act, issue of nomination, sponsorship, qualification is a pre-election matter. No matter, that's why the judgment that the Court of Appeal gave on the 20th day, they said declared that even that of Borno, they, according to the allegation that we disobeyed the order of the High Court, that of Borno is Supreme Court too. That's 2 courts ahead. They court ahead of the Supreme Court of Appeal. Then, if we are to, you see, it brings out some questions that you have. Like I told some people, I said, even if I don't practice law today, I will not practice law, because right now, as a lawyer, I came in as a young lawyer. I looked at them as lawyers that we are. In all honesty, his practice is straight. Let me tell you the truth. But right now, this is fact, and I have law. How can I go to court to get justice? I will not get justice because this is the law. This is the fact. He knows it. I won't get justice. The law is, the court is no more a place where a common man gets justice. Let me tell you, in IBA, South Korea, the chief judge of South Korea, what did he say? He said that if you want democracy to thrive, if you want the common man to enjoy, the judiciary must get it right. Okay, Barrister. Right now, the revolution of Nigeria does not stand in, like you see, in all honesty, I'm a core politician. I was actually shocked that, yes, Peter Obi pulled this number of votes, that he even came third. A typical politician, that this guy is going nowhere. But he sent, for any sensitive politician, he sent you a message that, look, there's a force coming in. You said you are going to participate in the reunion. Do you see your candidates still emerging? Now, let me tell you the best part. In 2023, when we were doing our election, we had the Peter Obi factor. Now, we do not have that factor. Let me tell you the best part. The Plateau is a typical PDP state. However, when we now came for Peter Obi's elections, even us, I went to my polling unit, they told me, Oga, if you're president, leave him, or we'll give you Senate and reps. I'm still concerned about this position of the Senate. Because the court ruled that the Senator Simon Mwatcon was not duly nominated. But and they talk about the PDP contravening the court order. That's why I'm asking you, on what ground are you going to be participating? Now, do you agree with me when I say, do you agree with me when I now tell you that it's not straightforward? When a judgment is straightforward, when another, like for example, Oga, when they say we should go and garnish this account, or, you know, sometimes when we are doing garnishing proceedings, we don't even put the account number. We know what we do to get our money for our clients. Let me not expose us. Do you understand? But we get it. But now, this is the difference. It is the same pattern that it takes, sui generis. You must follow this pattern. Now, court is saying that you are not qualified to contest. But in the final, the last line, you said that all the parties hearing, all of you will go and contest. So what does it say? So it is on that ground that we must see, on that ground. You see, there's one thing. If they remove us, it means that we are they are even contravening the order of court. Okay. The court said we must contest. All right. I'm sorry. Barrister I'm sorry, please.
You see, he kept saying that we went to court on pre-election matters. That our challenge on qualification and sponsorship is pre-election matter. Is that correct? Now, pre-election, what amounts to pre-election is contained in the Constitution. For the purpose of our viewers, so that they won't feel that, APC went to court on grounds of pre-election matter and got judgment from the tribunal, which is not correct. The last leg. Please permit me to just read so that the Constitution, what it says. Section 285, subsection 14. Now, for the purpose of this section, pre-election matter means any suit by an aspirant. Talk about aspirant. No candidate. Aspirant. Good. No candidate. Go ahead. Allow me finish now. No candidate. Carry on. No problem. Aspirant. You know, you talk about aspirant during primaries. Aspirants are doing primaries. When primaries have been concluded and a candidate emerges, you now talk about going to court thereafter. We didn't go to court to challenge the aspirant. APC didn't go to court because they wanted to challenge who were the aspirant. If we had done so, that would have been a pre-election matter. We went to court to now say that, look, your candidate was not qualified because of lack of sponsorship. Those are the grounds in the Electoral Act. He can confirm. Okay, there are so many grounds.
Let's talk about the integrity.
This is the joint. Let's end this part.
So it's not true that APC went to court on pre-election matters. That is not correct. For the sake of our viewers.
For the sake of our viewers too, let me bring that Borno case. It was decided on the 26th day of October 2023. And if I am wrong, I will submit myself for contempt proceedings or perjury. Or what they call it? Perjury. Now, it's the name of Tafaya Asaya versus of the APC challenging the nomination. No, see, he's challenging the nomination, qualification, and sponsorship. From whatever he said, you could pick that there was nomination, there was qualification, there was sponsorship. The only part now is aspirants, right? Now, he said of the candidate of PDP, Dr. This and that are challenging the disobedience of the Supreme Court order by the PDP of Borno State. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja by Honorable Justice Choma Nwosu Ehime held that under Section 2851 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, the tribunal had special jurisdiction only to determine the jurisdiction whether anyone was validly elected. Let me just paraphrase now. Because at the end, she held, consequently, she held that the judgment of the tribunal, which held that the issue of nomination, sponsorship, and qualification of a candidate, not an aspirant, of a candidate. Right. Before you become a candidate, you have to be an aspirant. The only qualification, he agrees with me that you cannot be a candidate without being an aspirant. And it is only a candidate under this 2022 Act that can challenge nomination, qualification, and sponsorship. Let me just read this so that it won't be that I just paraphrase.
What is the fact of that?
In addition, see, here.
The case
in addition to the disobedience of the order of court, are pre-election matters that can only be challenged by members of the party.
All right,
before the Federal High Court.
I would like us to talk about the integrity of the court. So, based on what you said, the only issue that APC is having with PDP's candidate is just on the basis of nomination.
No, I didn't say so. I didn't say nomination. Okay. I said lack of qualification as a result of non-sponsorship.
Okay, non-sponsorship.
Yes,
but you don't have you agree that the people actually voted, and because the candidates of the Senator Simon Martcon have come out to say, I was duly elected by people. In fact, going by the declaration, INEC said it's called 155,000. If you check the margin, is about almost 80,000 difference. You don't have issues with the INEC declaration of winner based on the vote.
No, we have. You see, now, law is devoid of sentiment and emotions. The moment a candidate of a party wasn't qualified to run for an election, in law, no matter the number of votes, the quantum of votes you had, they'll look at those votes as wasted votes. Law is like nature. Law does not act in vain. You cannot put something on nothing. The moment they were not qualified on account of lack of sponsorship to run in that election, no matter the quantum of vote they had, that's what the Electoral Act says.
Okay, let's talk about the integrity of the court. A lot of Nigerians have actually...
Court, let me reply to what he's saying now. I'm reading from the judgment.
Which of the judgment?
The judgment of... what do they call this person? The judgment of Martcon. Okay. This is what they said. Let me read it. You see, especially on page 828 of the record, volume 2, under cross-examination of RW1. RW1 is by counsel of the 4th and 5th respondents. He stated therein as follows in respect of Exhibit 2R2. Exhibit 2R2 is the INEC report in respect of. He talked about law is devoid of sentiment. Law is devoid of one or two things. You understand? It's a straightforward thing. Okay, let's do law is not devoid of sentiment. And this is what the court, they read it and they had it in their judgment to say, INEC is the author of Exhibit 2R2. That is our repeated Congress held on the 25th of September 2021. I rely on the document I rely on the document that PDP conducted the state Congress. The report reflects what happened at the Congress. There are 17 local governments in Plateau State. Exhibit 2R2 at page 2 of the report, 12 local governments were not excluded. Those 12 excluded. It's here. I won't shout.
I wouldn't want us
Those
to-
12. Wait. Let me read it.
No, I
Let me
won't
read it
want
so
us
that
to
he will
get-
debunk
It's not
it.
correct
Let
that
me
they were
read
not
it. It's in the
excluded.
judgment that those 12 excluded were only the ESCO members, not the ad hoc members. They were excluded based on legal advice. Other delegates who participated in the election, such as the statutory and ad hoc delegates. I am not the author of Exhibit 2R2. Mary Joseph signed it. You see, that's where some of the things are coming on, where we are running away from. Mary Joseph signed it. Her name was not those that monitored the Congress. Samuel Abba, you asked me that question now. You can't run away from it. Samuel Abba did not monitor the Congress. Malam Husseini Haliru Pai, which you know is the resident INEC commissioner, he knows that very well, did not sign the report, but his name is not one of those who monitored the report. From the above. Now, this is what the court now said, though. From reading that report, now this is what the court now said. Now said, from reading the report, the first thing to note is that the person who tendered Exhibit 2R2 is not the maker and is not the person who signed it. Mary Joseph now, who did not monitor the said purported Congress. One Malam Haliru Pai, who signed it, did not monitor the Congress as stated by RW1, and there was exclusion of 12. You see, this is what they now say. They said there was exclusion of 12 local governments, as can be seen from Exhibit 2R2 on the testimony quoted above. Now, from what I read, from the testimony of the witness, and from what the court found, you find that there's a disparity. Now, when you are coming to administrative documents, if you are sent to go for field work, when you come back, you have your editor here now. If your editor does not pass your field work, will it go? No. So, Malam Haliru Pai, Mary Joseph, and those people they are talking about are people whose constitutional duty are in INEC office.
You know why I want us to talk about the integrity of the court?
No,
It's because
you see,
of the whose interest are we fighting
now,
in the end
when
of
we
the day.
bring out
So
when we bring
you
out
let
this
him
issue
re-
now,
let-
you see,
let
when we
him
bring out the
respond
issue
to
now,
you.
you will now talk about the interest of the court.
Yeah.
Because if I don't explain that, look, INEC, Malam Haliru Pai was the rec. The other person, Mary Joseph, was the HOD political monitoring.
So in all
and
of
this,
this, who should be blamed?
in all of
Because
this.
the point of change is taking responsibility.
Frankly
Who should be
speaking,
blamed?
if you say I don't want to throw, let me just throw the blame because the judgment has been given. The worst has happened. There's nothing that I can say apart from this. Is that the courts are meant to be blamed because in this whole judgment for that of Mwantcon, you will not see the case of Augustine Timcook there. Now, the cases, let me tell you one part they are bringing. That you see when I'm talking of law, Peter Dassat, even the case of Justice Gang, PDP Plasek, the case of Musa Aga at the Court of Appeal, were all decided prior to the case of Augustine Timcook. Augustine Timcook was decided this year. Their own cases were decided in 2022. Our own, 11th of February 2023, was when the court said, you people have structure. You people are not in disobedience of... No, let me remove that word structure because they imported structure. They said, you are not in disobedience of the order of God. Go to page 25 of Justice Agashi's judgment.
Okay, Barrister Leo.
No, I'm sorry. I hope we have a little time. Now,
Just quickly respond
now
to that.
he talked about that they had conducted congresses and they brought reports. Now, who was supposed to produce this report? According to him, is INEC. He mentioned some names. You now ask, why didn't INEC come and tender this report? The so-called report that they said was...
INEC tendered them from the
INEC
bar.
did not tender... I'm
See,
coming.
No,
we
let
had
him respond.
we
He
had a
allowed you,
total...
Barrister
You see,
Panshak.
I will not
Let him
allow... I will
respond.
not...
No,
see,
Allow
Let
you see, because I'm not
you see,
interrupting you now.
in
INEC
the
did it.
election petition tribunal, we have more than 20 cases there.
Okay, let him respond
And
to that.
in those more than
You
20
made your
cases,
point.
INEC also, because INEC was, you see, INEC monitored that Congress. Do you understand? Let me give you the best part. If they claim that yes, INEC was supposed to tender, we brought INEC report. They also brought INEC report.
Okay,
you see, what is not in contention is that on that 25th day of September, was there a Congress? Yes. All the people they brought to come and say there was no Congress, were they
we have a caller. Let's just speak. Hello, good evening. Thank you for calling on the show. Go ahead with your point.
Good evening. My name is Tony.
Okay, calling from where?
From here. My point is that I want to tell that lawyer representing APC or whatever, it's not by force. If the people say they don't want you, it's not by force. Relax. Another time will come. But don't force us, don't push us to the wall. We have made our choice. We have elected those people. So that's our choice. So allow our choice to flow, please. That's my take.
Thank you, Tony. Tony is talking about the fact, you know, earlier on I was asking you to respond to the fact that some people are alleging that, oh, APC are just being desperate. The people actually voted for PDP, the people they wanted in power, but you would like to respond to, is it about desperation or just about the law or about the interest of the state?
It's not about desperation. It's about the law. Election is regulated by law itself, by the Constitution and the Electoral Act. What we did wasn't outside of what the law says. If what we did was outside of what the law says, we would not have obtained judgment.
Okay, let's pick this call. Sorry. Hello?
Hello.
Good evening. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, good evening.
What's the name and where are you calling from?
I'm Henry Okonkwo.
Okay.
Calling from Jos.
Okay. Yeah? Okay. Go ahead with your point.
So I just want to speak on the integrity of the courts.
Okay.
Sincerely speaking, we have lost hope in our courts, our court systems. What we see that the judgment that our courts have been passing as pertaining most of our political cases, we see from the area point of view of technicality rather than justice in itself. I've not been following quite the PDP, APC matters as far as Plateau is concerned, but I can say that the voice of the people was for PDP as far as Plateau North Senatorial District was concerned. And in fact, virtually all the grassroots, votes from the Plateau North, I can say, is concerned, went to PDP. It is a clear fact on the streets and on the voice from the streets that the Labour Party won, even as far as Plateau is concerned, even though we can see that the distance we have doctored, the results that we came to see finally as projected by INEC. So it's so sad that... but INEC
announced what they collated.
As far as our judiciary is concerned, I don't know. And I fear for what will be of the future for Nigeria. Given this type of precedents we're already facing. That's all I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Okonkwo, for calling. Talking about doctorate of result, I think that's your point of view, because INEC actually announced what it collated, even though disparities from political opposition parties saying, no, we don't agree to that, has been taken to the court, like the Electoral Commission will say go to court if you have any disparity. So we shouldn't just conclude on that. And you were actually responding to that. I would just like you to quickly wrap up your point on that issue.
Okay, whether the integrity of the court is not in doubt. Now, why is PDP, now for instance, questioning the integrity of the court? Is it because the judgment on appeal is not in their favor? At the lower tribunal, when those judgments came in their favor, they celebrated the same court. It's the same court, the same tribunal, the same court. So, is it because...
Okay.
And
I
feel as to, contribute my quota.
Okay, where are you calling us from?
I feel as to, contribute my quota. I say my name is John David. I'm calling from Kaduna.
Okay, go ahead.
I say my name is John David.
That's
Yes, what I'm saying here is this, that we...
Please, when you call us, kindly move away from your TV set so that we can hear each other and actually save time, or turn down the volume. So you were talking about the integrity of the court, and over time, following the election and all that turned out, a lot of Nigerians, even having known that the court is more like the last resort or the hope of the people, what they see as some of these judgments have made them, oh, we don't believe in the court. Like, should Nigerians still have confidence in the court?
Now they should have. You see, judgments of courts are delivered based on the facts. You apply the law to the facts.
Okay, I think our caller is back. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, what I'm saying, is this. I was the one that called earlier.
Go ahead.
My name is John David, speaking from Kaduna.
Okay, John David, go ahead with your point.
Hello?
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Yes, yes, we the youth, we have lost confidence on the judiciary and our so-called politicians, because the old men that are, calling themselves politicians that, did not really know what they are doing over there. They are only just to, buy spaghetti and give it to the poor in the street. After that, that's all. But I believe the God that we serve will judge some of them tomorrow. If they are there for selfish interest, I believe that tomorrow God Almighty will judge them. And I believe that man that is sitting with you is hearing me clear that tomorrow our hope is in God, not them, because we have lost confidence on those people that are calling themselves politicians. You understand? Because the judgment that just the Supreme Court, passed yesterday or so, well, we will not say anything yet, but they will surely see it.
Thank you, John David.
Yes, the judiciary and the politicians, those so-called APC, they must read what they saw.
Please don't use such words. Please, no
thank you very much.
Or abuse. Thank you, John David, for calling. Please, we do not appreciate name calling. When you call, kindly make your point and then straight to the point. This is just like one of the Nigerians that is saying, I don't still believe
Now, they say they don't believe. You earlier asked about the integrity of the court. Let's take, for instance, now the presidential petition judgment that was delivered yesterday. Now, one aspect of the judgment, which I will ask if you were to be a judge, for instance, now, the issue of FCT having a special status. That is to say, before one becomes the president of this country, you should also win the FCT. The court said, look, no, it shouldn't be that way, so that if you now say, unless a president, the presidential aspirant, a candidate wins 25% in FCT, he will not be the president. You are now taking FCT over and above every other state, that there should be equality of votes. Would you say that judgment was wrong? Why I'm asking that question is this. Because assuming a candidate wins out of 36 states, he wins 30 states, or even 36, without winning FCT, it means he shouldn't be the president? So to that, would you now say that such judgment is such that should affect the integrity of the court? I don't think so.
Let me
that's an aspect of it.
No, just hold on. Are you done with
yes,
it?
okay.
Let me pinch in this way. He has made valid points I want. He's talking about nomination, qualification, and sponsorship, right? Before you are nominated, you must fit into a criteria before you can say, I am a nominated candidate of a party. That is where we are coming through, right? And the law, the Constitution of the Federal Republic and the Electoral Act 2022 has already specified what it means to be nominated. When it comes to sponsorship, now you see when we are talking about the integrity of the court, do you understand? Without any apology to them.
No, you shouldn't impugn.
Okay, no, I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. when you are telling me that, you see, this current Electoral Act, you see, we lost a seat for Mikan Kwampan Shandam to John Dafan. Do you understand? Even if you want to cry, no matter how bitter you want to cry, what did they do? They follow what the law said. If you are disqualifying him, saying he's an independent candidate, it means that who should be declared next? The second. Now, well, let's come to their APC Chris Giwa case. What position did Chris Giwa come? Third, right? His case was the first that the judgment was done. Now, if they, let's say, assuming without conceding that, yes, we did this, we did that, what was supposed to happen in that one? They will tell you that, Oga, you are not even fit to even, because he came third, right? Let's go to Musa Aga's one of today. Babs, APC, he came fourth. Fourth, oh! They still said, we made an earlier this thing that go back for rerun. This current Electoral Act, do you understand, does not stipulate those kind of conditions for a rerun or a fresh election. So
are you saying there are factors actually affecting our electoral jurisprudence? Because right, some people have opined that, oh, maybe the courts they're under some inducement and all of that, even though I'm not aligning with that. But are there factors that are actually affecting our electoral jurisprudence, even though it looks like inducement. Judgment is almost coming to an end, but the electoral process continues.
That this and that have induced who. Let me say it pop and clear. Me, I'm doing my crusader crusade. I'm not saying that so because if you tell me that so person was induced, you will ask me next, were you there? Do you have the money? No. But however, when we look at it, what does the law say? You see, when you are crying off, I think he should be crying with me. Because in a situation where I'm crying that this is my phone, then they will now get up and say, Mr. Producer, that phone that you have belongs to him, give it to him. Do you know that we both have to cry? Because they are giving us what does not belong to us. Chris Giwa's petition is defective in the sense that there's a fundamental part which he did not state, which is cause of party. You remember he agreed with me that this thing is sui generis. And you know very well, sir. I won't forget in 2011 when I met you doing AD's petition. I know how well you prosecuted that petition. And you did well. Only that there were things that didn't favor you. Now, when you talk about the Electoral Act, the first schedule that has to do with filing a petition, you must, they say you shall state this cause. Go and look at Chris Giwa's petition. Okay, let's. He only stated his petition. No, let me state it clearly. He stated his own score. He stated PDP's score, and he now put the others, which you are supposed to state each and everybody's cause. I have John Dafan's petition here. Okay, beyond looking at the
APC candidate, let's talk about your own candidates in your party. We have seen how that these judgments have affected them from even the State House of Assembly. Just Northwest, we've seen Pengana constituency, Mikang, how that the issue of structural nomination kept coming up. Justice Tukur said you can't keep something or nothing. And he said most of the candidates that are under PDP are just independent candidates. And this has been affecting, now we're talking about Simon Mwatkon, Musa Ave, still talking about other candidates that the same issue is being affecting. What is the fate of other politicians in PDP? Because that has been the concern of some, in fact, even some of the people that actually came out to vote for your candidates. Like, what is the fate? Going by all these removal judgments that have been passed, what is the fate of other politicians on the platform? And do you have a second option? Like, since this appeal court have passed the job, do you have like a second option?
Now, even my learned friend, he's not a politician, I agree. He will represent them for what is due to him. He's a good lawyer. But there's one thing every politician that is not a PDP person fears on the plateau, is that you should be a candidate of PDP. Because plateau is PDP and PDP is plateau. PDP was birthed on the plateau. It is in everybody's blood. And let me tell you something.
If it's in everybody's blood, then the APC wouldn't have had the.
Now let me take you to it. We have had. Let me not start from our some SD Lara and others, people who were the fathers of PDP. But let me just speak generally. To be frank, if I had a fellow plateau man against me here, there's what I would tell him. Leo Ebi has been on the plateau for a long number of years, but they will call you non-Egyptian, right, sir? Am I right? When they were constituting teams, they will say, well, number this guy doesn't belong to us. But he has spent, sacrificed, burnt years, built his life and his family here.
So don't you think this issue of Banegidaba is
here? I'm taking you somewhere. The worst election I've ever witnessed in my life that I knew that in my mind I know that this is one of the worst elections is this 2023 elections. Wow. Let me tell you why. It divided us along our ethnicity, our religion, and even our personal friendships.
So what's the way out? What's the way out?
The way out, like for me, for the youth, in all honesty, is to hold the youth confab. What is there? Do you know that if we sit down and say, for anybody contesting for governor, if you tell us you are making roads, you are not wasting time. You are not even, we won't even consider you. If you are telling us, let me tell you, not that I want to criticize the previous governor, but let me tell you, you cannot come and pay me my wages and tell me that it's an achievement. It is an insult. I'm a graduate of Ahmadu Bello University's area. We are naturally ahead. I'm a lawyer. It pains me that he was taking it as a crown on his head that I pay salaries. Salaries for what? The monies that he got. If the previous governor, John Ajan, got those things, I don't think we'll be here now. Just to be a mega city. Everybody will agree that he just will be a mega city. But this is what we are missing. This road, you see, Lalong built the British America this thing. I won't insult that thing because for me, I know what I faced when we're going to University of Jos with Agara Chakas to go and see babes. When you come to British, your car will off. You have to come out and wear glasses and push so that people won't recognize you.
You know, my concern
but
now is
we run away
the general
from
interest of Plateau.
The general interest of Plateau has been sacrificed on political lines.
So what is the way out? What is your advice to Plateau
we
people
need to
out there?
have a Plateau confab.
Okay.
Where we will sit down and say, what do we need? Look, that High Court complex now, at least for the next 20 years without blinking, we don't need to build a new High Court complex. Except we just need to add one or two things. Am I correct? Right now, when we come from Maraban Jema, we don't need trucks to be parking at Dadinkowa. Do a bypass through Kuala. I follow that road now. Come out at Gadabu and you head to Zaria. Or you head to Bauchi where you are going to.
Okay.
So we need someone that will come and give us governance. Now, when Mutfwan, frankly speaking, I don't discuss when somebody is in power. But when I was going, you see, these are where little difference counts. When I was going through Rampan Street and I saw the street was blocked, I was wondering what the hell is happening. I'm a party man. I'm supposed to be abreast what's happening in the society. I was even angry that there was hold up. But when I now saw that they were making the shoulders and trying to cover some potholes, I was like, what the hell is happening? Now, what are we talking about? Little significant things that will add a plus or minus to you.
Very important. Our time is actually fast spent. I would like Barrister Leo to just talk about the way out. Obviously, the politics is heated. And politics of hatred, bitterness is not a way out. So what should be done going forward? Because what we see on social media, on the streets, among opposition party is display of hatred because of political position. It's more like it's no longer about the interest of the state, but more like about party interest, individual interest, disregarding even governance. What is the way out?
Well, you know, for me, the way out is for politicians, you know, to educate the voters. You know, the voters should now be made to understand that election is not only going to vote. Before voting, there are some things that are supposed to be put in place, like this internal democracy in a party. It has to be emphasized. And then for PDP, if I have to advise them, let them go and conduct the Congress. My friend said, PDP is Plateau and Plateau is PDP. You have to do the needful if you want that PDP to be Plateau and Plateau to be PDP. Because the moment those things are not in place, they are condition precedent. You cannot move forward. And incidentally, most of our voters are not aware of this problem. They might just think that it's the judiciary that is the problem, but not really the judiciary that is the problem. I'm not saying that the judiciary may not have one or two issues. After all, they are manned by human beings. But the core thing is that for people to be more enlightened so that they know what is it, what it is, and how to react to issues.
Great one there. You just gave an advice to PDP. What would you be your advice to the APC?
Immediately after the 2023 election, on social media, especially on Twitter, now X, Plateau came out as one of the most enlightened voting population. The reason is because if you go to vote, they will tell you, Mama, if you tell, you see, the difference is us that watch and listen to social media, watch all those things, we are different. But when you go down to the village, Mama will tell you, I'm speaking straight from direct experience I got on that 23rd of March. Mama, who are you giving for president? She will say, give it to Mama, Papa, and Pekin. That's Labour. Mama, who do you want for Senate? She will say, Bama Lima. Umbrella. Mama, who are you giving for reps? You say, give it for Umbrella. On a good day, a typical project, oh boy, I don't win too. But for those of us that are smart, we're like, there's a problem. Because the awareness that got to you that, look, for this person, give this person. Now, it has now shown that, you see, that issue of that independent candidature, you see, that's why we're now coming with independent candidature. You know what the Supreme Court has said in respect of independent candidature. You know that if we hold independent candidature, a lot of our typical politicians won't be where they are now. We do apologize to them. Because people look at, you see, on the plateau, we look at capacity. We are lawyers, sir. You know that you go to court, somebody will come and tell you, you beat the chest and say, I have a barrister.
Barrister Panchak, you have to wrap up your points.
Yes, how much is he paying you? He's not paying you your due fare. That's just the truth. And at the end of the day, you find out that he will beat his chest that he has a lawyer, but he doesn't have the capability to sustain you as a lawyer. You have to beat around to make sure you get what you're due.
Thank you.
Now, in that respect, when it comes to politics, there's a lot of bitterness that has gone down, which needs to be eradicated. For me, I'm a pro plateau guy. You have to graduate from being a politician to be a pro plateau guy. We have to grow as plateau people. We have to grow as people that have interest on the plateau. For me, as you see me like this, anything that will make plateau progress, I knew what Gombe was before Gombe is now. I knew what Ebonyi. If you go to Ebonyi State, it's like you went to Mangu. I'm telling you. But when Dave Omahi was changing Ebonyi, one of my friends called me and said, oh boy, that this man comes out in the night. See, let me tell you, if you go to Ebonyi, you'll be lost. I was serving in Enugu in 2011, 2012.
So interest.
Omar did well in the point.
He did well.
The interest.
So that I like that because he replicated at the national level.
No, that's what I need to. That's what I.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Well, the point here is that the interest of the state should be at the forefront, and whatever interest that one is pursuing should be peace, and it should be good governance, not just about individuals' pockets.
If you notice that before when we get up, we say Fulani herdsmen. But when they produce the Fulani herdsmen, nobody can produce them. You know that when we go to court, that's the problem we face. But right now, whether you are a plateau man by citizen or you're a plateau man by indigenship, there is a war against us as plateau people.
And that is we can only fight that together when we
you see,
ourselves.
Just as you said, we can only fight unified. You see, the mistake we made is that we are so deeply divided. You see, the interest is the issue. The politics come later.
Thank you. Our time is, I have to end it here because our time is actually fast spent. The general interest of the state should be at the forefront. And for us to fight the common enemy, we must actually come together as one. Thank you so much, Barrister Leo Ebi, and thank you, Barrister Pangshan, for your time on the show. Really appreciate you. And to our viewers out there, thank you so much for staying with us on today's edition of National Talk. Remember that democracy is the theory, that the common people know what they want and deserve to get it real good and hard. Until we come your way next week, same time, you have a blessed night.